وصلى الله وسلم على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. يقول الإمام الحافظ شيخ الإسلام ابن قيم الجوزية رحمه الله تعالى في كتابه الماتع العظيم المفيد إغاثة الأحفان في مصائر الشيطان، قال: الوجه الثامن أن الله سبحانه وتعالى غني كريم عزيز رحيم، فهو محسن إلى عبده ما غناه عنه، يريد به الخير ويكشف عنه ضر والضر، لا لجلب منفعة إليه من العبد ولا لدفع مضرة، بل رحمة منه وإحسانه. Imam Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions the 8th of 10 aspects of why the affair of a Tawheed, of singling out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with worship and with al-isti'anah, and with seeking His assistance and seeking Him out and singling Him out with His names and His attributes tabarak wa ta'ala, and knowing Allah and worshipping Allah in general and remembering Allah and everything that is connected to a person's belief in Allah is the greatest cause of happiness in this world and in the hereafter. He says, explaining after having covered 7 different aspects, explaining it in 7 different ways, he mentions the 8th aspect. And the 8th way that we can explain this affair, he said, it is that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala is ghaniyun kareem, Azizun Rahim. Allah is Ghani, meaning He is rich, He is free of need. Kareemun, yet He is merciful, or He is generous. He is free of all need, yet He is generous, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and kind. Azizun Rahim, He is mighty, tabarak wa ta'ala. No one can force Him to do anything, yet He is merciful, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not benefit the creation or show kindness to the creation, expecting from the creation that they do something in return to benefit Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. But rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free of need, and included in that which He is free of need of is our worship. If it should occur to the mind of a person, while Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala requires for us in exchange for His blessings to worship Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is free of need of our worship. Rather, our worship is the greatest need that we have. Our worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest need that we have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ghaniyun kareemun azizun rahim. He is free of all need, yet He is generous and kind to all of His creation. Azizun rahim, He is mighty and powerful, yet He tabaraka wa ta'ala is merciful. فَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ لِلَعَبْدِهِ مَا أَغِينَاهُ عَنْهُ. So He is kind to His slaves, His creation, while being free of need of them. يُرِيدُ بِهِ الْخَيْرِ, He wants the good for them. يَكْشِفُ عَنْهُمَ الضُّرِّ, and He is the only one that can remove harm from them. لا لجلب منفعة إليه من العبد ولا لدفع مضرة, and He does not do so in order to get some benefit from His abd, from His worshipper and His slave, or to be protected from some harm from them. بل رحمة منه وإحسانا, but rather He does so purely out of mercy from Himself and kindness. فهو سبحانه وتعالى لم يخلق خلقه ليتكثر به من قلة ولا ليتعزز به من ذلة ولا ليرزقوه ولا لينفعوه ولا ليدفع عنه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create the creation so that He could have more because He had little. ولا ليتعزز به من ذلة, or so that He could be honored and mighty because He was humiliated and He needed help, or so that they could provide for Him, or so that they could benefit Him, or so that they could protect Him. كما قال تعالى, as Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, He said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I did not create the jinn kind or mankind except so that they may worship me. مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَن يُطْعِمُونَ. I do not desire that they should provide for me, nor that they should feed me. إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ ذُو الْقُوَّةِ الْمَتِينَ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone is Ar-Razzaq. He is the provider, Dhul Quwwah, and He is the possessor of Quwwah, of strength, Al-Mateen, and He is the all-powerful Tabarak wa ta'ala. وقال سبحانه وتعالى, which surah? Surah Al-Dhariyat. وقال تعالى, وقول الحمد لله. And this verse is called Ayatul Izz. It is called the verse of honor. And it is the last verse of Surah Al-Isra, which is a lengthy surah. And the way that surah, the chapters of the Quran begin, and the way that they end, demonstrate to us what is called Al-Munasaba, yani Ilmu Tanasub, yani the knowledge of relevance of context. The knowledge of relevance of context. The beginnings and the ends of surah have the strongest ayat in the surah that demonstrate to us something tremendous about the subject matter of the surah, of the chapters of the Quran. And so when you observe the way that chapters of the Quran begin and the way that they end, you will find that those verses are usually very powerful, some of the most powerful and strong verses of the Quran in meaning. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He says in verse 111 of Surah Al-Isra, وَقُولِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي لَمْ يَتَّخِذْ وَلَدًا. Say all praises due to Allah who has not taken a child for Himself. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ شَرِيكٌ فِي الْمُلْكِ. And He does not have a partner in His dominion and control of the universe. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ وَلِيٌّ مِنَ الظُّلِّ. And He does not have a wali. He does not have an ally or a guardian because He is in a state of dhul, because He is in a state of humiliation. وَكَبِّرْهُ تَكْبِيرًا. And glorify His praises with a takbir, Allahu Akbar. This is the last verse of Surah Al-Isra. So Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala has no need of His creation. And the ayat in the Quran that demonstrate this meaning are very many, to the point that the entire religion can be said to be a summary of this reality. Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he has a tremendous poem that is called the Lamiyah of Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi, as regards the tawadu' wal khudu', as regards humility, where towards the end of his life he sent his student Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala a poem, or he sent him a short book about tafsir, a short book about tafsir, and on the ghilaf, on the cover of the manuscript, there were some lines of poetry that were written by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, that started with the statement that I have not yet surrendered to Allah with an Islam that is acceptable. I have not yet perfected my Islam. I have not yet made an Islam that is Islamun Tam for Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And then he has some tremendous lines of poetry where he said that I am al-musaykin ila rabbil bariyati. I am the one that is in dire need to the Lord of the universe, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And from those lines of poetry that he mentions about the need of the slave for Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala and Allah's freedom of need from His slaves, he said, وَالْغِنَى لَكَ وَصْفٌ ذَاتٍ لَازِمٌ دَائِمٌ أَبَدًا. He said, and al-ghina, and being rich and free of need of your creation, is a wasfun dhatun laka da'imun abadan. It is eternally your wasfun dhat. It is the quality of your essence, O Allah. Just like kama al-faqr li wasfun dhatin lazimun abadan. Just like being in dire need of you is a description that is from my essence that will never leave me. That will never leave me. And that is, he said, the state of the entirety of the creation. And so the entirety of Islam is built upon this fact. that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is free of need of His creation, and that the creation, that every last one of the creation is in dire need of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Ibn Qayyim, he goes on, he says, وَهُوَ سُبْحَانَهُ لَا يُوَالِي مَنْ يُوَالِيهِ مِنَ الظُّلِّ كَمَا يُوَالِي الْمَخْلُوقِ الْمَخْلُوقِ وَإِنَّمَا يُوَالِي أَوْلِيَاءَهُ إِحْسَانًا وَرَحْمَةً وَمَحَبَّةً لَهُمْ. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala does not take allies. Does Allah take allies? Does Allah have allies? Does Allah have allies? Awliya. Allah has allies. He said Allah does not take allies from those that He takes allies from, because He is in a state of dhul, because He is in a state of humiliation or subservience to anyone. Like the creation take allies from one another, like they are allies to one another. He said, وَإِنَّمَا يُوَالِي أَوْلِيَاءَهُ إِحْسَانًا وَرَحْمَةً وَمَحَبَّةً لَهُمْ. But rather He only does so out of kindness and mercy and love for them. And out of His love for them, may Allah make us from those that He loves. وَأَمَّا الْعِبَادِ فَإِنَّهُمْ كَمَا قَالَ تَعَالَى وَاللَّهُ الْغَنِيُّ وَأَنْتُمُ الْفُقَرَاءُ. That as for the ibad, as for the slaves and worshippers of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, the entirety of the creation of Allah, then they are those, as Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, He said that Allah is Ghani. He is Al-Ghani. He is the one who is free of all need. وَأَنْتُمُ الْفُقَرَاءُ. And you are in dire need of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. فَهُمْ لِفَقْرِهِمْ وَحَاجَتِهِمْ إِنَّمَا يُحْسِنُ بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ لِحَاجَتِهِ إِلَى ذَلِكَ. Because of their need of something and their impoverished state, they show kindness to one another because they are in need of doing that, because they need to do that. And the kindness that they show to one another is because they have a need for doing so. So some people, they show kindness to others and mercy to others and so on and so forth because they want something from that person in particular. Some people, they do it because they are in need of, they understand that they are in need of Allah's mercy. وَالرُّحَمَا يَرْحَمُهُمَ الرَّحْمَنِ اِرْحَمُوا مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَرْحَمْكُمْ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ. And those that show mercy will be shown mercy by Ar-Rahman. Show mercy to those that are in the earth, and the one who was in the heavens will show mercy to you. But they are in need. They have a need of doing so. And they show kindness and compassion and mercy to one another because they have some need. There is a reason that they are doing that. No one is free of having a reason and a need for why they are showing mercy or kindness to those that they show mercy and kindness to. وَانْتِفَاعِهِ بِهِ. And because they get benefit by doing so. عَاجِلًا وَآجِلًا. In this world and in the hereafter. In this world and in the hereafter. وَلَوْلَا تَصَوَّرَ ذَلِكَ النَّفْعَ لَمَا أَحْسَنَ إِلَيْهِ. He said, if it wasn't for the person understanding that there is some type of benefit that they get from showing kindness and mercy to another, they would never show kindness to anyone. فَهُوَ فِي الْحَقِيقَةِ إِنَّمَا أَرَادَ الْإِحْسَانَ إِلَى نَفْسِهِ. So in reality, when a person shows kindness to someone else, he only intends to show kindness to himself. Everybody, there is no one who does anything selflessly on the face of the earth. There is no one who does anything selflessly on the face of the earth. And that is not a aib in general. I mean, that's not a defect in general. It's not a shortcoming in general. I mean, a person is in check with reality, and he is up to date with the reality of himself. That he is the one that benefits by showing kindness to others. That he is the one who benefits by showing kindness to others. So the point that Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said in his book Al-Fawaid, he said that the most merciful of the creation to you, الَّذِي يُمَكِّنُكَ, is the one who gives you the opportunity to be of a benefit to them. The most kind and merciful of the creation to you is the one who gives you an opportunity to be of a benefit to them. لِيُطَاعَ اللَّهُ فِيهِمْ, so that Allah is obeyed as regards that person. So that you can obey Allah as regards the condition of that person. And what you are supposed to do, a benefit for that person. He said, and the most harmful of the creation to you is the one who does not allow you to be of a benefit to him, and nor does he allow you to obey Allah as regards the right of Allah concerning him. So this is the reality of the affair. A person, and if they had this mentality, it would be a mentality of khair, a mentality of goodness. But it's to show you that the kindness and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not like the mercy of the creation. And He is not comparable in any way to the mercy of the best of the creation. The mercy of the best of the creation. And most people, when they show kindness, is because they have some type of ulterior motive. They have some type of selfish purpose. That usually has nothing to do with getting close to Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, and usually has everything to do with al-istighlal, with taking advantage of the person that they're showing kindness to. For this reason, the scholars, they mention the statements of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, and when they sought the refuge of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, Allahumma la taj'al li mushrikin 'indi yadi fayuhibbuhu qalbi. Oh Allah, never allow a disbeliever to have an upper hand above me, where he is showing me some type of kindness and I am in need of something from a disbeliever, lest my heart should love him. As a statement of Sufyan ibn Uyayna, he said, Allahumma la taj'ali sahibi bid'atin 'indi yadan fayuhibbuhu qalbi. Ibn Atiyah, he mentions in his tafsir that this is a statement of some of the Sahabas. For as I looked high and low and near and far, I could not find the statement. But that's where it's found in the tafsir of Ibn Atiyah, rahimahullah ta'ala. Where he said, Oh Allah, do not let the disbeliever have a hand above me. And he is a statement attributed, found in the Ibana al-Kubra of Ibn Batt al-Ukbari, rahimahullah ta'ala. Sufyan ibn Uyayna, he said, Oh Allah, do not allow the mubtadi', the innovator, to have an upper hand above me, where I am in need of anything from him, in need of any type of financial assistance or kindness from the mubtadi', and the person who opposes the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with innovative beliefs and the likes of these affairs. فَيُحِبُّهُ قَلْبِي. Lest my heart should love him. Lest my heart should love him. And we see this especially from some of the immigrants that are refugees and so on and so forth. Different communities I've been in, especially where you have from the Arabs and from the Africans, and different nationalities of people where there was civil war in their country, or there was just plain out war in their country and the likes of these affairs, and they went from land to land to land, and the Muslims closed the doors in their face, and the Americans and the British and the Swedish and the Western nations opened up their borders with open arms. And they said, see, what did they do? They attributed that to Islam, and they attributed what the kuffar did to them to Christianity. And they started to make statements. They said that we left a people that were Muslims with no Islam, and we came to a people that were that had Islam but were disbelievers. Allahu Akbar. These people, they said they have Islam, and they're disbelievers with Islam, and we left Muslims with no Islam. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. The people don't understand the reality of the pragmatic and pragmatism. As they say, pragmatism is, instead of looking at what is right and wrong, then you say whatever works is right and whatever doesn't work is wrong, right? So the people, they say that whatever, as the Machiavellian principle, as our scholars mentioned, it says al-ghayat tubarrir al-wasail. The ends justify the means. The ends justify the means. And so they have policies, open door policies, for whatever reasons, of the ends justify the means of bringing people closer to them, making the people love them, these sorts of affairs, and they don't understand the concept of leverage. Leverage. Now you have leverage over people. And so you get them into your country, and you indoctrinate them in your schools, and then you send them back to their lands with these ideologies, and the people, they say, well, you didn't show us any love, and it's an uquba from Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. It's a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ala kullin, this is a reality. That people never do anything selflessly. There is always a reason. There is always a reason. So know that if you're ever in need of anything from anybody, if Allah tests you with being in need of anything from anybody, and you should seek Allah's refuge from that as a man, right? If you're ever tested with being in need of anything from anybody, understand that there are reasons that they show you kindness. And if they give you something, there's always a motive. There's always a motive involved, right? And nobody does anything selflessly. Not even Mother Teresa, right? They say, Mother Teresa, Mother Teresa got clout. She got popularity. She got funded. She got this, that, and the third. She had, awqaf, endowments and stuff in her name. Mother Teresa didn't die poor, right? The Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, died poor, right? But people, they do things for political reasons, for economic reasons, and for whatever. The only one who does anything selflessly for the creation is Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And a person should never forget. And a person should never forget that the most that a human being can be is a part of the reason. Is a part of the reason. And some of the Salaf, they would say when they would give something to their brothers, they would say, that this is from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And just as Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala gave to me, then I give to you. It's from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And just as Allah gave it to me, then I give it to you. Right? I need to obey Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala as regards that which we have been given. And so the reality of the affair is that everybody has a reason, and some of those reasons are good, but very rarely. And do people show kindness just for the sake of kindness? People show kindness to show off. People show kindness for status. People show kindness because the Kareem, the person who is kind, it is in the fitra of people to love them. And they love to be loved in these sorts of affairs. But the believer, he shows kindness for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the reward of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, and to bring the hearts of the Muslims close together. But there is a reason why he is doing it. But there is always a reason why people do what they do. But Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, because He loves His kindness, He shows kindness to the creation. Because He loves His kindness, He shows kindness to the creation. And He has no need of them, and there is no way that He benefits from showing them kindness. So Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَلَوْلَا تَصَوَّرُ ذَلِكَ النَّفْعِ لَمَا أَحْسَنَ إِلَيْهِ. He said that if had it not been for a person realizing this benefit that they get by showing kindness, they would never have shown kindness. فَهُوَ فِي الْحَقِيقَ إِنَّمَا أَرَادَ الْإِحْسَانِ لِنَفْسِهِ. So in reality, they intended to show kindness to themselves. وَجَعَلَ إِحْسَانُهُ إِلَى غَيْرِهِ وَسِيلَةً وَطَرِيقًا إِلَى حُصُولِ نَفْعِ ذَلِكَ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَيْهِ. And so he made his kindness to others, the person made his kindness to others a means of bringing kindness, of bringing about benefit and kindness to himself. فإنه إما أن يحسن إليه لتوقع جزائه في العاجل. He said, so either he shows kindness because he is expecting some reward for that immediately in this world. فهو محتاج إلى ذلك الجزاء. And he is in need of being helped in this world. ومعاوض بإحسانه. And he knows that he is going to be repaid for his kindness. أو لتوقع حمده وشكره. Or he shows kindness because he wants to be praised and thanked. فهو أيضا إنما يحسن إليه ليحصل له منه ما هو محتاج إليه من الثناء والمدح. So in that case, he is only doing what he is doing because he is in need of having a good reputation and being praised. فَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ إِلَى نَفْسِهِ بِإِحْسَانِهِ إِلَى الْغَيْرِ. So in every instance, the person is showing kindness to himself by showing kindness to others. وَإِمَّا أَن يُرِيدُ الْجَزَاءِ مِنَ اللَّهِ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. And one of the clearest examples of that are those that are called the philanthropists. The philanthropists in this world. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation, the Harriman Foundation. And all these foundations, they poured massive wealth into education, massive wealth into government, massive wealth into every sector that you can imagine to gain control. In order to gain control, to be able to affect policies and so on and so forth. Now you have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, this foundation, that foundation, the people that are filthy, dirty, rich, and drowning in haram money that they have not given Allah His right concerning. And they give crazy money, money that you can imagine in the hundreds of millions of dollars annually. For what? And in order to affect some type of change in the society and the culture and so on and so forth. There's always a reason. There's always a reason. A person should never be deluded. And they want to develop their reputation. They want to get a tax break. They want to the end of it. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وَإِمَّا أَن يُرِيدُ الْجَزَاءَ مِنَ اللَّهِ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. Or either a person who is showing kindness, he does so because he wants the reward of Allah in the hereafter. فَهُوَ أَيْضًا مُحْسِنٌ نَفْسِهِ بِذَلِكَ. And even in that case, he is showing kindness to himself. وَإِنَّمَا أَخَّرَ جَزَاءَهُ إِلَى يَوْمِ فَقْرِهِ وَفَاقَتِهِ. But rather, this person has only delayed his reward to the day that he will need it the most. فَهُوَ غَيْرُ مَالُومٍ فِي هَذَا الْقَصْدِ. And in this intention, he is not blameworthy. There is nothing criticizable about that. فَإِنَّهُ فَقِيرٌ مُحْتَاج. He realizes that he is in dire need and that he is in impoverished condition. وَفَقْرُهُ وَحَاجَتُهُ أَمْرٌ لَازِمٌ لَهُ مِنْ لَوَازِمِ ذَاتِهِ. And his impoverished condition and his need is something that is inseparable from him, from the essence of his soul. فَكَمَالُهُ أَنْ يَحْرِسَ عَلَى مَا يَنْفَعُهُ وَلَا يَعْجِزُ عَنْهُ. He said, and so it is from the perfection, from human perfection that is to be aspired for and worked for, that he is fervent and serious about that which will benefit him in this way, and that he is not helpless as regards putting forward what will benefit him when he needs it the most. وَقَالَ تَعَالَى. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He said, إِنْ أَحْسَنْتُمْ أَحْسَنْتُمْ لِأَنفُسِكُمْ. And if you show kindness, if you do well, then you have done well and show kindness for your own self. وقال تعالى وما تنفق من خير يوفى إليكم. And whatever you spend of good, it will be repaid to you. وقال تعالى فيما رواه عنه رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And Allah تبارك وتعالى, He said in the Hadith Qudsi, the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم, He said, Allah said, يا عبادي إنكم لن تبلغوا ضري فتضروني. O my ibad, O my slaves and worshippers, you can never reach me with harm, you can never cause dar, any harm to reach me so as to harm me. وَلَن تَبْلُغُ نَفْعِي فَتَنْفَعُونِ. And you can never cause any benefit from yourselves to reach me so as to benefit me. يَا عِبَادِي إِنَّمَا هِيَ عَمَلُكُمْ أُحْصِيهَا لَكُمْ ثُمَّ أُوَافِيكُمْ إِيَّاهَا فَمَنْ وَجَدَ خَيْرًا فَلْيَحْمَدِ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ وَجَدَ غَيْرَ ذَلِكَ فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ إِلَى نَفْسَهُ. Indeed, it is nothing but your actions, and I enumerate them for you and safeguard them for you, and then I repay you accordingly. So whoever experiences good thereafter, then let him praise Allah, and whoever experiences in this world or the hereafter other than that, then let him blame no one but himself. فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ إِلَى نَفْسَهُ فَالْمَخْلُوقُ لَا يَقْصِدُ مَنْفَعَتَكَ بِالْقَصْدِ الْأَوَّلِ. He said, so no creature, no created being, no human being intends to benefit you as their original intention. As their original intention. But إِنَّمَا يَقْصِدُ انْتِفَاعَهُ بِكَ. But rather he only intends to benefit through you. وَالرَّبُّ تَعَالَى إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ نَفْعَكَ لَا انْتِفَاعَهُ بِكَ. But your Rabb, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He only wants to benefit you, not to benefit by you. وَذَلِكَ مَنْفَعَةٌ مَحْضَةٌ لَكَ. And that is of a pure benefit to you. خَالِصَةٌ مِنَ الْمَضَرَّةِ. And it is free of any harm. بِخِلَافِ إِرَادَةِ الْمَخْلُوقِ نَفْعَكَ. And to the contrary of a human being wanting to benefit you, فَإِنَّهُ قَدْ تَكُونَ فِيهِ مَضَرَّةٌ عَلَيْكَ وَلَوْ بِتَحَمُّلِ مِنَّتِهِ. He said, because that could harm you to receive benefit from some of the creation. It can harm you to receive benefit from the creation. He said, even if that is only by tahammuli minnatihi, by having to bear the fact that they did you a favor and they expect something in return. And they can remind you of that favor. Ya akhi, fa'altu wa fa'altu wa fa'altu. How dare you? That's the first thing that happens, right? When somebody gets on somebody's nerves. And the audacity of that person. How dare you? Right? How dare you? It's called ani minna. Yani the person that is mannan. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in a hadith, yani he will not smell the fragrance of the Jannah, the mannan. The person that, when he gets upset with others, he reminds them about his favors. I did this for you and I did that for you. Ungrateful, such and such and such and such. How dare you? How dare you? Right? It happens all the time. Right? Everything that a person has ever did for you. How you gonna such and such and such and such? And I bought you this and I did that and I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that and wah. People do it in their marriages, they do it with their children, they do it with each other to the end of it. Right? He said if that's the only harm, it'll be enough of a harm. That you have to bear the fact that this person can remind you of their favors. That this person can remind you of their favors. Right? And this person can bring it up at an inopportune time. Right? And the scholars, they mention in general, and it is permissible, and in the instance of, as is mentioned by Ibn Muflih, if I'm not mistaken, in Adab al-Shar'iyya, where he speaks about the issue, and I think it's likewise mentioned by Al-Mawridi in Adab al-Dunya wa Deen, and in a situation where a person is not getting their haqq from another person, where a person is not giving you your rights, but we have to remind people that people always think that they're entitled to things that they're not entitled to also. Right? But if a child, for example, is disobeying you, or if a child is rebelling against you and you have shown the child kindness, you will say, look at your situation. Look what Allah blessed you with. Look what Allah blessed you with. Allah blessed you with parents that are economically stable to some degree. Definitely more economically stable, most of us, than our parents were. Right? Able to give you some type of safety that we didn't have, some type of any security that we didn't have, some type of this, that, and the third. Should be grateful to Allah and obey Allah by obeying your parents. But the person should always make the nisbatul ni'mah. It's from Tawheed to always associate the blessing, ascribe the blessings to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And in every situation that a person can imagine where they're not getting their rights or they're being oppressed or so on and so forth by another person that they have shown kindness to, there's always a way to ascribe the blessing to Allah while making your point. Ascribe the blessing to Allah while making your point. But otherwise a person should be very careful. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, and so when the creation wish to benefit you, there can maybe be a harm in that for you. وَلَوْ بِتَحَمُّلِ مِنَّتِي, even if the only harm is by bearing the reminder of the person's favors to you at an inopportune time. فَتَدَبَّرْ هَذَا. He said, contemplate, think about that. فَإِنَّ مُلَاحَظَتَهُ تَمْنَعُكَ أَن تَرْجُوا الْمَخْلُوقِ. He said, realizing that will prevent you from placing your hope in the creation. And some people, the only time they place their reliance upon Allah, the only time they turn to Allah is when they have exhausted all their possibilities. What you going to do now? I'm just going to make dua, akhi. You should make dua first, ya akhi. There's a statement of Ibrahim, alayhi salatu wasalam. He left his family in the middle of the desert. He didn't go around to the Bedouin tribes and say, hey, look, you know, Rabbil Alameen, he ordered me to leave my family over in the middle of a valley with nothing. And you know, I was hoping that maybe we don't know each other, and maybe you can look after them, so on and so forth. It's a woman and a child to the end of it. SubhanAllah, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And it takes a degree of iman that a person can imagine to obey that order of Allah, to leave your woman and your child in the middle of a desert. Think about that next time you're in Mecca, especially when it's hot, right? And you're going, that's what you're supposed to do when you go between Safa and Marwa. You're supposed to think about when Hajar was going between Safa and Marwa. And imagine what that entailed, that Ibrahim, he stood on top of the highest mound, turning upon them, and he, after he turned from them, and he turned to Allah, and he put his hands up in dua, looking down upon them for the last time, and he made the well-known dua. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ اجْعَلْ هَذَا الْبَلَدَ آمِنًا وَاجْنُبْنِي وَبَنِيَ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامِ. Oh Allah, make this a safe land. The first thing he asked for was safety. And prevent me and my children from worshiping idols. That's a right. Any person of responsibility has binding upon them as regards the people that they are responsible. They flock underneath them to provide safety. If you look in the books of As-Siyasat al-Shar'iyya, it is one of the first things, if not the very first thing that is mentioned, is the responsibility of the Muslim ruler to provide safety in the land. It is his responsibility to provide safety in the land. That's why the Khawarij are the most ludicrous people on the face of the earth. They want to rule over the Muslims by terror. ha'ulah. The first responsibility, the first thing a person thinks about. And before Ibrahim asked Allah to protect them from shirk, he asked Allah to give them safety. He asked Allah to give them safety. How's a person going to worship Allah in a state of terror and fear and so on and so forth? Oh Allah, make this a safe land and prevent me and my children from worshiping idols. Up into the statement of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them from those that establish the salat. وَاجْعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً مِّنَ النَّاسِ فَاجْعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً مِّنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ. Oh Allah, make them from those who establish the salat and make the hearts of the people incline towards them. Lahith. Pay attention to that. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he understood that Allah is muqallibul qulub. He is the one who controls the hearts. The best way that the hearts of the creation can turn towards Allah is by obeying Allah. That's why he said, Oh Allah, make them from those that establish the salah, and therefore, on account of that, make the hearts of the creation incline towards them. Make the hearts of the creation incline towards them. Indeed, when Allah loves his slave, he calls upon Jibril. He says, indeed, Allah loves Fulan fa'ahibba. So love him. Jibril, he calls to the Ahl as-Sama. Inna Allah yuhibbu Fulanan fa'ahibbuhu. Indeed, Allah loves someone, so love him. Thumma yudha'u lahu al-qabulu fil ard. And then acceptance is placed for him in the earth. On account of what? On account of his obedience to Allah. The opposite of the mentality of most people, they think that the only way to get accepted by people is to compromise in their religion. It's to compromise and to sell out. To compromise and to sell out. Look at Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Look at these words that Ibn Qayyim, he said, فَتَدَبَّرْ هَذَا. Contemplate over that. Think about that. And most people, they only turn to Allah when they have asked everybody else. They've asked everybody else, as opposed to asking Allah first, and then if you're in need of asking. If you are in need of asking, as some of the scholars they mentioned, about this statement of the Prophet ﷺ, that there are three that Allah will not look at on the day of judgment, and that He will not purify them from their sins, and they will have a grievous punishment, meaning Allah will not look at them with mercy. So Allah will see all of the creation. The scholars have agreed that what is meant by that is Allah will not look at them with mercy. And from them he said, وَالْعَائِلُ الْمَزْهُوبُ. He said the poor person who was pompous and arrogant. Some of the scholars, they said that what that means is a person who was too proud to ask. And he would rather his family, his children go hungry than ask somebody. He's too proud to ask, right? So it doesn't mean that a person doesn't ask for help if they need help, right? But it means that a person, the first one that they ask is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they take the means, and after they have exhausted the means, if they don't have a hila, and if nothing has presented itself, that they ask the creation, knowing that Allah has made the creation a part of the reason for some benefit reaching them, and not the full reason. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he goes on to say, understanding this, mulahadhata, being cognizant of this, tamna'uka an tarju al-makhluq aw tu'amilahu duna Allah, and it will prevent you from placing your hope in the creation, or from dealing with the creation to the exception of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, without turning to Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, aw tatlubu minhu naf'an aw daf'a, or to seek from the creation that they benefit you or protect you from anything, or tu'alliq qalbaka bihi, or you attaching your heart to the creation. فَإِنَّهُ إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ انْتِفَاعَهُ بِكَ لَا مَحْضُ نَفْعِكَ. For verily, anyone who can benefit you, they only want to benefit through you. They only want to be benefited by you, not to just benefit you. وَهَذَا حَالُ الْخَلْقِ كُلِّهِمْ بَعْضِهِمْ مَعَ بَعْضٍ. This is the situation of all of the creation, without exception, with one another. وَهُوَ حَالُ الْوَلَدْ مَعَ وَالِدِهِ. It is the situation of the children with their parents. وَالزَّوْجْ مَعَ زَوْجَتِهِ. And the husband with his wife. وَالْمَمْلُوكْ مَعَ سَيِّدِهِ. And the slave with his master. وَالشَّرِيكْ مَعَ شَرِيكِهِ. And a business partner with his partner. فَالسَّعِيدُ مَنْ عَامَلَهُمْ لِلَّهِ tabaraka wa ta'ala la lahum. The person who is successful is the one who deals with the creation for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not for anything in return from them. Wa ahsana ilayhim lillah, and he is kind to them for Allah. Wa khafa Allah fihim wa lam yakhafhum ma'allah, and he fears Allah as regards them, but he doesn't fear them along with Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. وَالرَّجَى اللَّهَ بِالْإِحْسَانِ إِلَيْهِمْ, and he hopes for Allah because of his kindness to them. وَلَمْ يَرْجُهُمْ مَعَ اللَّهِ, and he doesn't hope for anything from them along with what he hopes for from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَحَبَّهُمْ لِحُبِّ اللَّهِ, and he loves them so that Allah will love him. وَلَمْ يُحِبُّهُمْ مَعَ اللَّهِ, and he doesn't love them along with Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. كَمَا قَالَ أَوْلِيَاءُ اللَّهِ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى, as is said by the allies of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا, that we only feed you for the face of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. We don't want any reward or compensation from you, or any shukura, or any thankfulness from you, or any thanks from you. It doesn't mean that people shouldn't repay kindness that is showed to them, or thank people that show kindness to them, but a person shouldn't make that their intention of why they show kindness. And this is the end of al-wajhu al-thamin, and you have the 8th aspect. And we'll read the 9th aspect inshallah, and then we'll continue with the 10th aspect and the conclusion of the chapter next week inshallah, or perhaps even on Friday. He said al-wajhu tasi', he said the 9th aspect, أن العدل يعلم مصلحتك حتى يعرفه الله تعالى إياها, is that the creation, the person does not know how to benefit you or what you need of to be benefited with until Allah allows him to know that. And you think about Yusuf in the prison, when he told the one who was in the prison with him to tell his master, he forgot for years, right? And the person will not be able to know what will benefit you until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala causes him to know. وَلَا يَقْدِرُ عَلَى تَحْصِيرِهَا لَكَ حَتَى يُقْدِرَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهَا, and he would not have the ability to bring about any benefit to you until Allah, and unless Allah gives him the ability. وَلَا يُرِيدُ ذَلِكَ حَتَى يَخْلُقَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ إِرَادَةً وَمَشِيئَةً, and he will not want to do that until Allah places the want and the will inside of him to want to do so. So Allah, these are 3 things that go into a person's decision and action to do anything. What a person knows, what they have the ability to do, and what they want to do. Allah creates the creation, and he creates their actions. So in the belief of Ahl Sunnah, that the actions of the creation, all of their actions are created by Allah for a wisdom, tabarak wa ta'ala. Everything of sinfulness and obedience, of disbelief and belief, is created by Allah, and they are the doers of their actions. And yet they are the doers of their actions, and they are responsible for their actions. But they cannot do anything until Allah gives them the knowledge of how to do it. Right? Until they know how to do it, until they have the ability to do it, until they have the want to do it. These are 3 things that go into any action. The will, the knowledge, and the ability. He said, so if a person does something to benefit you, it's because Allah allowed him to know that you needed help, whether you told him or somebody else told him. He said, if he benefited you, it's because Allah gave him the ability to benefit you. And if he benefited you, then it is because Allah gave him the want and the desire to do so. Some people, you could tell them till you're purple in the face about your plight. It's so difficult right now, right? He say, well, Allah help you out. Allah help you out, right? Those are some of a person's most unfavorite words to hear when they need help. Allah help you out, subhanAllah. Allahu fi aun al-abd ma dama fi auni akhihi. Allah will help the servant so long as he is in the assistance and the help of his brother. Right? Allah help you. As long as you want the help of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّمَا تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ بِدُعَائِهِمْ وَإِخْلَاصِهِمْ. So authentic hadith, it's actually two hadith put together, and that you are only helped by Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala and provided for by Allah, meaning that you only receive good from Allah and are protected from harm from Allah because of the following things. And that's everything, right? Receiving good from Allah, provision from Allah, and being helped by Allah, and protected from harm by Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. That's everything. إِنَّمَا تُنصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ. Indeed, you are helped and you are supported, as we heard. I think it was in Al-Wajh al-Khamis, in the fifth aspect of Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala. He mentioned that the greatest things that people want are an-nasr and ar-rizq. An-nasr and ar-rizq. And to be helped by Allah and to be supported, to be provided for. And the only one that can do that is Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. Is Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. So here, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that you are helped and you are protected. You are provided for and you are protected because of your du'afa, because of the poor people amongst you, the weak, the helpless amongst you. Why? He said, بِدُعَائِهِمْ وَإِخْلَاصِهِمْ, because of their dua and their sincerity. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, رُبَّ, he said it is possible that a person is أَغْبَرْ أَشْعَث, that a person is covered with dust and his hair is disheveled to the end of it. لَوْ أَقْسَمَ عَلَى اللَّهِ لَأَبَرَّهُ, person is maghmur, nobody knows him, he's dirty, his hair is dust shoveled, or his hair is disheveled, his clothes are dirty, he's filthy, he's poor. As one narration said, and if he asked for somebody to intercede on his behalf in a worldly way, nobody will intercede for him. And if he asks for anything, nobody will give him. لَوْ أَقْسَمَ عَلَى اللَّهِ لَأَبَرَّهُ, if he was to swear by Allah that Allah would do something, Allah will fulfill his oath. A person may have nothing, they may be dirt poor, they may be unknown to the people, and they are loved to Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. They are loved to Allah. And the most loved of the creation to Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, from the most loved of the creation are those people that are poor and unknown and so on and so forth. They're the most sincere of people, the most loving of people for Allah tabarak wa ta'ala and His religion and His messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So are the majority of the people of paradise are the du'afa and the fuqara, are the weak and the poor. The paradise and the fire, they argued with one another. The paradise, it said, why is it that no one enters me, O Allah, except, or they called upon Allah, he said, why is it that no one enters me except, and either the majority, meaning of those that enter me, are the du'afa and the fuqara. And the fire said, why is it that the majority of those that enter me are the jabbarun, and they are the tyrants and the mutakabbirun and the arrogant people. Right? That's the reality of the affair. And the closest of the creation, those people, that are the majority of the people of Jannah, are the poor people. Are the poor people. As was stated by Herakl to who? To Abu Sufyan. And he said, who are his followers? Who are his followers? And when he was informed that the poor and the downtrodden are the followers of the Prophet, he said, هَكَذَا أَتْبَعُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. He said, this is how the followers of the prophets always are. This is how the followers of the prophets always are, like that. You are only helped and supported, you are only protected and provided for because of your du'afa. Why? Because of their dua and because of their ikhlas. Because of their dua and because of their ikhlas. But the point is that, if a person is of a benefit to you, the only way that he is of a benefit to you is by Allah allowing him to know how to benefit you. Giving him the ability, because a person can know how to benefit you, but they might not have the ability, right? And giving him the intention, the will. Some people, if you tell them as much as you want to tell them, right, Allah help you, right? Allah help you. They don't care. Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places the mercy in their heart, tabarak wa ta'ala. As Umar, he said, or as the Prophet rather, he said to the man, and he said, you kiss the children? You kiss the children? And he saw the Prophet kissing his grandchildren and so on and so forth. And he said, I don't kiss the children. He said, what can I do if Allah has tore mercy out of your heart? Allah has tore mercy out of your heart. And so Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, and He places the intention within the heart of a person to do so, they can never do so. So a person is always cognizant that at the end of the affair, the ultimate reality of the affair is that Allah is in control of all benefit and all harm. And so whatever they need, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is their recourse first and last and everything in between, that they return the affair back to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. ولا يريد ذلك حتى يخلق الله فيه إرادة ومشيئة فعاد الأمر كله لمن ابتدأ منه. So the entirety of the affair goes back to the one that it originated from, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. وهو الذي بيده الخير كله وإليه يرجع الأمر كله. In his hand is the entirety of the good, and the entirety of the affair goes back to him. فتعلق القلب بغيره رجاء وخوفا وتوكلا وعبودية ضرر محض. He said, and so connecting the heart to other than Allah, attaching your heart to other than Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, as regards your hope and your fear and your reliance and your worship, it is pure harm. It is pure harm. لا منفعة فيه, and there is absolutely no benefit in doing that. وما يحصل بذلك من المنفعة فهو وحده الذي قدرها ويسرها. And whatever occurs by a person doing that, connecting his fear and his love and his hope and his reliance to the creation, even if he still gets some benefit from that, then it is still Allah who decreed that and who made it easy for it to happen. وَأَوْصَلَهَا إِلَيْكَ, and caused it to reach you, even though you didn't deserve it. Al-Wajh al-Ashir, the 10th aspect. And al-Ghalib, you want to do the 10th aspect or you want to wait? طيب. أن غالب الخلق إنما يريدون قضاء حاجتهم بك. He said the last thing is that the majority of the creation, not all of them, the majority of the creation, إنما يريدون قضاء حاجتهم بك. They only want to fulfill their needs through you. وإن أضر ذلك بدينك ودنياك, even if it harms your deen and your dunya. Even if it harms your deen and your dunya. Oh, you believe indeed in your wives and your children, عدو لكم, are enemies to you. And your own wives and your children are enemies to you. That's tremendous. And so what about a person's friends? What about to the end of it? He said the majority of the creation, they only want to fulfill their need from you, to get something selfish of their desires out of you. As Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, to even another level, when he mentioned this reality in his Majmu' al-Fatawa, he said the majority of the creation wants you to be their abd. The majority of the creation require ubudiyyah from you. They require for you to be a slave for them. They want to treat you like a slave. He said the majority here, he says the majority of the creation only want to fulfill their need from you, to get their need out of you. وَإِنْ أَضَرَّ ذَلِكَ بِدِينِكَ وَدُنْيَاكَ, even if that harms your deen and your dunya. فَهُوَ إِنَّمَا غَرْضُهُمْ قَضَاءُ حَوَائِجِهِمْ وَلَوْ بِمَضَرَّتِكَ. So their only ambition is to get something that they need from you, even if that entails harming you, even if it hurts you. وَالرَّبُّ تَعَالَى إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُكَ لَكَ. But Allah wants you for you. But Allah wants you for you. Meaning He wants your worship for your own benefit. He wants you to worship Him for His own, for your own benefit. He wants you to worship Him. يُرِيدُكَ. Allah wants you لَكَ, for your benefit. That's tremendous. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala wants you for you. وَيُرِيدُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَيْكَ. This is da'wah stuff, right? This is the stuff that you call people to Islam. It's pure Tawheed. Allah wants you for you. وَيُرِيدُ الْإِحْسَانَ إِلَيْكَ لَكَ لَا لِمَنْفَعَتِهِ. And He wants to give you benefit, to cause benefit to reach you for your own good, not to benefit from you. وَيُرِيدُ دَفْعَ الضَّرَرِ عَنْكَ. And He wants to remove harm from you. فَكَيْفَ تُعَلِّقْ أَمَلَكَ وَرَجَاءَكَ وَخَوْفَكَ بِغَيْرِ. So how could you connect your hopes and your wishes and your dreams and your fears to other than Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala? How could you fear anything besides Allah? The one that controls everything that will benefit and harm you deserves to be feared to a tremendous level, right? Anything that you can have, He could take it away from you and you would deserve that. If a person is afraid of losing anything, There's only one that can take away anything from a person. And that is easy for him, tabaraka wa ta'ala, and you would deserve it. And there is nothing that you deserve from Allah, but that is mahdhu fadlihi. And it should cause you to fear him. As Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that when a person has hope for something, that his hope requires him to do three things. It requires for him to love the thing that he hopes in. And it requires for him to fear losing it. And it requires for him to take the means to retain that thing that he hopes for, that he has connected his hope for. And here he was talking about the Jannah, the reward of Allah in the hereafter. And he saw a person, and when they understand that Allah is in control of all of these affairs, he said, how could you ever connect your amal, your amal, yani your hopes and dreams for the future, with your expectations, and your raja, and your hope, and your khawf, and your fear to other than Allah, fearing the creation, fearing the blame and the criticism of the creation, fearing the harm of the creation, compromising in your religion, بِغَيْرِهِ. How could you connect any of these things to other than Allah tabarak wa ta'ala? وَجِمَاعُ هَذَا أَن تَعْلَمْ أَنَا الْخَلْقَ وَاجْتَمَعُوا كُلُّهُمْ عَلَى أَن يَنْفَعُوكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَنْفَعُوكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ لَكَ. He said, and to bring all of these points together, all of these 10 points together, he said it is that you know that if all of the creation was to gather together to benefit you in any way, they can never benefit you except in a way, except with that which Allah has prescribed and written upon you in the qadr. A hadith of Abdullah bin Abbas, Ya ghulam inni yu'allimuka kalimat. Oh young boy, indeed I'm going to teach you some words. Imagine if the youth were raised upon this. He said to bring all of this together, to gather all of this together, is that you know that the creation, if they were to gather together, every last one of them, they can never, to benefit you with anything, they can never benefit you except with that which Allah has written for you. وَلَوْ اجْتَمَعُوا كُلُّهُمْ عَلَىٰ أَن يَضُرُّوكَ بِشَيْءٍ. And if they were to gather together, all of them, to harm you in any way, they can never do so in any way whatsoever. إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكَ. Except with that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written against you. So when a person goes through something, anything a person goes through in life, if you stub your toe, if the police pull you over, if your bank account bounces, if whatever, the first thing that you should do is say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. If your wife is upset with you, don't fight it. It's an uqubah, it's a punishment, right? Don't go back and forth. Say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. I ask Allah to forgive me. Oh Allah, forgive me. Oh Allah, forgive me. And a person who develops this mentality and understands this, that everything of benefit and harm is in the hand of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, and whatever he receives, it is mahdhu fadlillah, it is purely a bounty and blessing from Allah, and of that which he receives of the good, and anything that he experiences of difficulty, فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ إِلَى نَفْسَهِ. And let him blame no one but himself. Let him ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala to forgive him. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, قال الله تعالى, Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, he said, قُلْ لَنْ يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا وَهُوَ مَوْلَانَا. قُلْ لَنْ يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا هُوَ مَوْلَانَا. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, say, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لَنْ يُصِيبَنَا, that nothing will ever afflict us or strike us except that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote for us. Huwa maulana, He is our mawla, He is our guardian Lord tabaraka wa ta'ala. Huwa maulana, wa ala Allahi falyatawakkal al-mu'minun. And so let the mu'minun put their tawakkul upon Allah alone. Let the believers place their reliance upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the conclusion of the 10 aspects is kind of detailed. That's why I wanted to just use the next session to go over it, because these are things that we should write and understand and make sure that we have understood, so that we can, and it's kind of what he began the chapter with, and we'll go back over the points a little bit inshallah in the next session. And the khatimatul bab, the conclusion of the chapter, هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزاكم الله خير.